Good morning, bows and bow ties. Welcome to my channel. If you are new to my channel, I'm the Black Opinionated Woman, also known as a bow. Oh, I can go. So, yeah, if you're wondering, like, what is she doing? Let me tell you something. I take different routes to work. And whenever I come on, trust me, well, I should never say never, but I don't start my videos right away. I have been driving for some time because you don't need to know where I'm coming from, where I live, etc. But let's get on into it. So, um, are you guys aware of this guy called Dante or Deante Kyle from the Grits and Eggs podcast? So, I get some of his clips, in my feed, and sometimes I may listen, sometimes I don't. Sometimes, he drops a little gem here and there, stuff that some of us have been living long enough, we've already heard, we already know. But for the younger people, it may seem like, wow, he's dropping gems. So we'll just go with that. Well, he puts out, I guess he has a podcast. I see only like clips on TikTok. I'm sure he's on YouTube and other platforms. But his name is Deante Kyle, and he's part of the Grits and Eggs podcast, or he hosts the Grits and Eggs podcast. And while I was putting on my face moisturizer, he was I was scrolling through TikTok. I scroll up, put some stuff on my face, do some of the things, scroll up, do some of the things, scroll up, whatever. And his one of his clips came through, and he was talking about he was maybe it was like, let's say 5-10 years ago, and you had the Grant Cardones and the I don't recall him saying this, but I'm gonna throw him in this loop, like the Gary V's. And I'm not sure if you guys remember who these guys were. They were all about, like, if I remember correctly, like the whole hustle culture. You don't need to own a home and all that stuff. I want you to just pause right there. I also remember about, let's just say a decade ago. Okay, give or take a few years. There was this whole fire movement. And I don't know if you guys remember what FIRE is. FIRE. Financial independence, retire early. And the fire movement really, really kind of sort of took off, right? And you guys can go look that up, what that is. But, it was basically starve yourself to death so that you can retire by the time you're 30 or 40, live off of nothing but beans and rice, bowl air, and a glass of water. Don't worry about owning homes and stuff like that. And just invest and you'll be rich. And it's all about being rich, rich, rich and living this lifestyle. Where I'm going with this is, I'm gonna talk about fire for a second. Then I'm gonna circle back to your Gary V and your Deante called out Grant Cardone. I remember I used to read all of those blogs back when blogs were still like a thing, and I would read up on the fire movement. And I'm kind of sort of still with a lot of some of the principles, but one of the things I talked about years ago was there's no purpose. Why would you not want to own a home? And people were discouraged from owning homes. People were discouraged from working after a certain age. They were like, get $1 million and live off of 4%, and you'll be fine for the rest of your life. But they really didn't account a whole lot for inflation and some other things. But they said they did, but no. So they don't count for the fact that while you're doing all that stuff, your health is typically at the best it's ever going to be, right? When you get older, we all know that like your health starts to decline. You need more um, things to keep you going or whatever. But anyway, so they would encourage people to have good finances, and I'm here for that part. Like there were parts of the fire movement that were good. So then they started branching off into like coastal fire and like when you can coast and some other things. But the main thing was they were like, we don't want you. Like, everybody was pushing this. And I was like, this is a disaster. They don't have a purpose after they stop working. It was literally working till you're 40 or 30, whatever, make a whole lot of money, then retire. Don't own anything, just travel. So now when I listen to, when I circle back, Deante Kyle, that's why I said some of the stuff he's saying isn't new. It's repackaged. He's very smart. It's got a little twist, it's got a flair to it. Um, but he does drop some good gems. Sometimes it reminds me of some things. He was talking about how, you know, people who look like me, the men or whatever, or a lot of just in general, all these people who had podcasts back in the day, now that all of their money has dried up because they're no longer being sponsored by some of these big time corporations or whatever. And where he was going with it was saying, like, you got like your Grant Cardone and all these other people telling young people, don't buy a home, it's the biggest scam, blah, blah, blah. But then all the corporations were going up buying up all these homes. So they were talking about Atlanta, some places, how they own like, I don't know, like maybe 75 or 85% of the single family homes. I don't know if that number is true. I did not go fact check it. So I'm just telling you, what I was hearing in the clip. So he was talking about how like all these corporations like bought up all these homes. So like BlackRock. And so I mean, for those of you who have not been living under a rock, we know like your was it Zillows and I forgot who else. These people, these corporations went and bought up these single homes. And then so while everybody was being encouraged to rent, right, they're going buying up all the homes. And now when people want to buy a home, they can't buy a home. So he didn't get into this level of detail. So then you know what happens, like the cost of a home skyrockets. So while rents were going up, now the cost of home ownership is high. You can't find a house. You can't buy a house. They owned all the homes. So what do I really want to say about all this? All these young men look like us. I feel like they are desperate for something. So they'll latch on to any hot shot. It will tell them you don't need an education. So this is what I'm going with. Like college is a scam. Just go to the trades. And I'm like, please stop listening to these people out here. Just because a couple of people managed to make $1 million off of the notion of you don't have to do these things. Not, I'm like, look, you are not that guy. Most of you are not going to be that person who have that kind of charisma and wit where you can make it without being educated. And even if you could, you still need to be educated. You got so many men and women, but men out here who are so easily swayed because they're looking for something. They don't want to sit there and buckle down and do the hard work. And I'm not saying working hard is always the way you want to work smart. And sometimes hard and smart, right? But the fact of the matter is, most of the people who are millionaires or whatever, you know what's how they got their money? It's not through these quick and easy get rich in a couple of years thing. You know what it was? They found a career or found something and they invested their money over the long haul. That's what they did. Every time they earned something or received any form of a salary, they put their money away and they invested it. And that's how they got their money. They didn't do these get rich quick things. You got these men out here, these people out here promoting these crazy bad ideas. Don't own a home. Don't do this. Don't do that. And the path to financial security typically or generational wealth is through owning homes and land. So what are you going to do if you've invested a whole lot of money in a market belly up? But you still have a place to stay. So like not investing in land or in your home. See, when you own your home, that's yours. Allegedly. But you got all these people like listening to these whack jobs out here telling you don't go to school, it's a scam. And then I just saw the other day, well, I saw two numbers. I don't know which one is true. So just take this for, for what it's worth. I saw somewhere that black men are enrolled at like, was it Howard University? It's at 26% of the university. I want you to let that one sink in. So we know that like minorities are starting to catch on to going to Howard University, right? They'll use Howard University. Howard take their money. And then you got the women, of course. Black men are 26%. It's down. And I saw some numbers somewhere. I thought I saw something like 16. I'm like, that can't be right. It's not 16%. But this is what I'm talking about. Listening to these men are out here listening to these whack jobs. The men aren't even getting educated. They'll tell you college is a scam, but they're sending their rich kids to college. They'll tell you don't buy a home. Home ownership is a scam. And then the corporations will go gobble up all of the single family homes. So when Deante Kyle, aka the guy from the Grits and Eggs podcast, was saying, like, guys, it's getting scammed by these people all the time. So all these podcasters are getting out here. I guess when their money dries up because they're no longer being funded by these corporations, whatever, because they got what they wanted. So when they buy up all the homes, now everybody's like, oh, I can't afford the cost of the house. They're forcing people, not forcing people, but they're literally putting out propaganda that college is a scam. And the first ones to fall for it are men who look like me. Everything is cyclical. Eventually it's going to come back. They're going to want someone who's like educated because you're going to understand how all these things are interconnected, right? When you go to, and I'm not saying college is for everybody, but it sure is for a lot of people. You got all these people out here like, it's not for me. Why isn't it for you? You answer me this. Why is it that educating yourself isn't for you? Why do you think that you're different? Why is it that you can't educate yourself? You explain that one to me. I've been really consistent about education for as long as my channel has been around. I've been telling people, go to school. Go to school, dumb dumb. And look, before you get in my comments and start telling me, well, I've got this uncle or brother or child and he did this, that, and the other. Fantastic. But not everybody is that kid. And so many people will say, oh, but you could make stickers doing, like some sort of trade or you can start your own business. But the fact of the matter is, most people are not going to go start their own business for a face. I get so tired of people trying to use that full like narrative, like, well, you can. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of things you can do, but most people aren't going to do it. So stop telling people, oh, you can do this, you can do that. I'm like, a lot of these trades are going to be replaced by, automation, AI, whatever. The trades are freaking awesome, but you still need to educate yourself. And I don't know why people are fighting it. They're fighting it. There's nothing wrong with trades, but I say you still need to educate yourself. Get yourself a 2 year degree or something. Anyway, I was looking at Deante Kyle. Yes, I sound like I'm promoting this guy, but I'm just letting you know the clip where I got the clip from, or it was in my feed, the Grits and X podcast. And why he is speaking on these things, and like I said, oftentimes it's not like new stuff, but the way he packages it and the way he delivers it is fresh. It has a different face on it. It doesn't have an older face, right? It has a young guy's face on it. He knows, I guess, how to speak the language of the young, right? Now, I don't speak like Deante Kyle, so I'm probably not going to, hold the attention of these young men. But they need to listen to this guy. He calls out so many things because I'm like, they're just so lost out there. Like the things that I hear dudes saying is just so cringeworthy, jaw dropping, in fact. So I'm just kind of like circling back with the home ownership and everything else. We need to get away from this notion of hustle culture. Okay? You hustle when you have to. You don't want to have to hustle all the time. You don't. You got to get away from this notion of being educated is a scam. It is so embarrassing that men who look like me have latched on to that. It's ridiculous when we tell people don't own homes. I'm more irritated because everywhere I go, I'm smelling young men smell like weed. They stink. Look, I said what I said. Okay, so you can be mad at me all you want. It's my lived experience. I'm walking around. I can't even go to a basketball thing or whatever to watch my kids play because most of you guys smell. It is disgusting. I need you to focus on some other things. They're more concerned about smelling like freaking weed than doing something else. Gross. Tired of people saying, yeah, I'm going to go do a trade. I'm like, you better go do a trade and still get your education. So for those who've done a trade, let's say 20, 30 years ago, well, they're going to be retiring soon. So, and the trades worked for them. But we're in 2025. So, yes, we need the trades, but we still need you to be educated. There's a reason why we're in this state that we are right now because so many people thought, like, I don't have to go to school. I could try to microwave my success, or I can try to, like, you know, hustle my way to. And I'm like, and it doesn't work like this for most people. It just doesn't. So, with that being said, um, don't be mad at me. Don't argue with me. I said what I said. But listen to that guy from the Rich Next podcast. No, I don't sit down and listen to him regularly. I know only of those clips that have come through my timeline from TikTok. That's what I know. Um, I hope you guys got something out of this. Most likely, I'm sure somebody's gonna get in my comments like, yeah, but you know what? My uncle's fifth cousin's pinky toe got a trade. I'm like, well, congratulations. Still go to school. Go to school. There's a reason why the data is showing men who look like me are not tracking well. They're not educated. They're the worst in home ownership. Salary has declined, et cetera, et cetera. The generational wealth is not wealthy. I'm just kind of like, come on. When are we going to start doing something different? And this is why people get so frustrated. And like people talk about like, you don't know how to submit. I'm like, you don't know how to lead. I'm like looking at some of these dudes. I'm like, your whole family would be starving to death. They had to follow behind you. All right. That's all I got. That's all I got. Y'all see how this rain is raining out here in these streets? I thought about getting my hair done today. No, this moisture is not my friend. All right. So go ahead and subscribe to my channel because I'm practically perfect in every way. You can do no wrong. So yeah, do that. And until next time, don't be mad at me and argue with yourself.